Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Kevin with Optimized Essentials, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing another Q&A on posture, and that is, can you fix your posture if you sit excessively or if you have a sedentary job? Now, the answer to this question is yes, but to an extent, and let me share with you why in this upcoming video. But before I give you the answer, the detailed answer, I want to give a quick shout out to the posture subreddit at reddit.com. Big shout out to those people over there because I post my videos there every now and then, or most of the time, every time I talk about posture, and it gets a lot of good feedback. You know, a lot of people feel like they're benefiting from my knowledge, from my experience, from what I'm trying to teach. So I want to give my heart out and give them a big shout out because they're supporting the channel and my growth, because I love contributing, I love teaching, I love just sharing knowledge that can help empower and transforms people's lives, okay? So big shout out to them. And now let's get into the question of, can you fix your posture if you sit a lot and if you have a sedentary job? Now, as I said, you can, but to extent. Now, why do I say this? Because let me give you some experience, some backstory. I used to work as a personal trainer for 2 to 3 years. A lot of my time was spent standing, moving around, lifting weights for customers or clients. And then now, recently, I stopped doing personal training and I found myself sitting a lot more because I'm helping my family's business take off. This is one of the buildings we are operating. And I'm constantly sitting at my desk from literally 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock at night. And there will be times where I move around and I try to stretch and mobilize. But I noticed that my posture isn't as good as it was when I was doing personal training. Why is this? Because when you sit excessively, what ends up happening is gravity is compressing. I mean, it's compressing your spine even when you're standing. But when you're dynamic, you're a bit mobile, and the effects of it is decreased. When you're sitting on a sofa, when you're sitting on a desk, well, not on a desk, when you're sitting in front of a desk on a chair and you're slouched and you're hunched forward, or you're in the front of the computer, you're in a compromised position. Your posture is in a suboptimal position, and gravity is exacerbating that position. So when you do posture work and you're active and you're moving around like a waiter or someone who's always on their feet, you're now allowing your body to operate in an optimal postural stance from day to day, from minute to minute, from hour to hour by moving. But if you are working on your posture, or you're trying to work on your posture, but you're constantly sitting, you're mitigating and potentially even reversing the effects of the corrective exercise, the stretching, the mobilization that you do. Because your body responds to what you train it to do most of the time, it will begin to adapt and form and sculpt itself to the suboptimal postures. But what I've also learned and experienced through sitting excessively and trying to work on my posture is this: your body also adapts itself to the most intense stressor in your life, okay? What do I mean by this? Meaning, if you are very diligent, you are very efficient and effective and mindful and deeply present when you are doing your hour or more, or minus, plus or minus 10, 15 minutes, depending on how long you work out and do your posture stuff. If you are really diligent and good at this time, you can really cement it into your nervous system, meaning you can still maintain adequate levels of posture, meaning if supreme posture is 10 out of 10, if you do it correctly and you sit a lot, you can still get an 8 out of 10. At least that's what's been in my experience. And what I mean by most intense stressor is whenever I train my legs, whenever I do heavy deadlifts, like strict Romanian deadlifts with really good form, with a decent amount of weights, 2 plates to 3 plates with strict form, my fascial system, my posture is literally snapped into upright posture. Because even if you sit 6 to 8 hours slouching, if you mobilize and stretch prior to working out and you demand from your body a very intense, strict form, your body is going to mold itself to the most intense stressor that it has to face. And for me, that is good form, heavy weights, and strict deadlifts at the gym. I'm not saying, I do want to conscious this because a lot of people are instantly going to go to the gym and start lifting heavy maybe, or doing some heavy squats or some heavy weights. And that will work. But again, if you have poor training experience, you don't know how to perform the exercises with good form, then you are severely compromising your body, because your body has existing muscle imbalances simply because it's asymmetrical or asymmetric from the get-go, right? Your body left to right isn't 100% symmetric. And on top of that, you already have existing muscle imbalances that if you haven't addressed because you're a beginner with posture, you are simply exacerbating and building in the muscle imbalances within your body through repetitive motions over and over again, okay? I've made many videos on how to deadlift with proper form, the best squat to do for your posture, why bodybuilding is imbalance building, because of all the reasons I just shared, right? We're asymmetrical, right? Our body just simply isn't symmetric from left to right. And, we have existing imbalances from sitting on our asses too much. So when you don't properly stretch out, you don't properly release your fascial system, you don't properly train and condition your body to what good equilibrium, good form is, and you load it with heavy weights, you are going to make those imbalances worse. And even for me, even with a bunch of corrective exercise, a bunch of postural training, if I go too heavy, if I do too much bodybuilding, I will get stiffness, I'll get aches and pain in my joints. So I do a lot of more functional work. I do a lot more dynamic work. I do a lot more deep mobilization, deep stretching, deep myofascial release when I am sitting excessively, okay? So the more I sit, the more mindful and more diligent I have to be with my corrective exercise, with my mobility, with my dynamic movements, my training and whatnot. But to get back onto the question of, can you fix your posture if you sit excessively? The answer is a definite yes, but to an extent, simply because the 6, 8, 10 hours that you are on your ass, it is going to compress and it is going to tighten your fascial system, especially if you are eating a bunch of junk food, especially if you're dehydrated, especially if you're not getting enough sleep, you're stressed, you're always thinking negative thoughts. All of these are going to impact your posture. And if you don't know how to train and exercise correctly, then you can't mitigate and unwind all the imbalanced, all the out of balance stuff you do during the day. And with that in mind, it's going to limit the type of results you get from fixing your posture. So fixing your posture is really a holistic approach, right? It's a mind, body, spirit approach, right? Because your posture is intertwined with your physiology, which is basically the living organism of the body, which is related to your mental emotional state, related to your cells, your organ health, right? All of these combined together make up your physiology, which in turn gets reflected in your posture. Meaning if you're really depressed and sad and anxious all the time, you're gonna be tight and constricted. That's why I made so many videos on how breathing affects your posture and how posture affects your breathing. And then why breathing is the best thing you can do for your posture, or why laying on a foam roller is the best thing you can do for your posture. I've also made a lot of videos on how to fix your hunchback posture, right? At the gym, if you have equipment. And if you don't, I also recently filmed a 15-minute routine on how to fix your hunchback around your shoulders at home. And then if you want even more information, I do have some postural programs that I will be continuing to build out. Right now, I have a Posture 101 program that will teach you how to assess your posture, your own posture, take pictures and how to draw landmarks and assess where your imbalances are, and then what stretches to do to counteract it. And then if you want a strengthening program to kind of mesh it together, I have my flagship transformation program, which is pretty much a 16-week program. Yes, I know it's a long time, but if you are a beginner or intermediate, you are going to benefit from this, because I taught everything I knew as a personal trainer from 2 to 3 years of training noobs, how to do it with good form, which is very, 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 very important. Good form, I show in the videos what to focus on, what cues to focus on your body so that you know how to perform it correctly so that you get the best results in the shortest amount of time. And you will literally go from a beginner to an intermediate or a super intermediate in 16 weeks if you follow that program. And it may seem like a lot of time, but trust me guys, if you are wasting time trying to learn it by yourself, it could take up to a year, 2 years, and maybe even more, right? So just follow the recipe, the proven format, do it with good form, do it with efficiency, and you will fix your posture in no time, okay? So make sure you stay subscribed or like this video if you liked it, and give me a comment down below if you have any questions, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.